Hello and welcome to Radical Living. I'm your host, Shoeless Joe, and today we are talking about the worst that can happen. So my wife and I recently have gone through a lot of very big life changes. I got a brand new job, which meant that we had to move from the house we were living in to another one, try to sell that house. We both quit our previous jobs, and on top of that, right when my new job was starting, she left the state for a whole week-long conference. So as you can imagine, there were so many things going on that were able to cause us so much stress, and we were kind of letting that anxiety get to us. Like, what if I don't perform well at my new job? What if we aren't able to sell our house, or at least not sell it enough to make back the money we spent on it? Or what if the kids don't do well with her being away for an entire week? So many unknowns, so many what ifs, and we all know that what ifs are bad. We can't really do anything about them, so we can't really spend a lot of time stressing about them. But what can we do? There's two things that I've been finding really helpful for me to be able to work through all these unknowns and all these what ifs. The first one is to ask yourself, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen? Like, if everything goes wrong with whatever it is I'm worried about, what's the worst possible outcome? So for me, I was really stressed about my job because I'm learning all this new stuff, and I had to sort of like give a little presentation with my boss on what I've been learning, and I just felt unprepared. I didn't feel like I was ready. But then I just stopped and thought, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen? Well, she could be really annoyed that I am unprepared, and she could be mad, and she could yell at me, she could reprimand me, she could basically, it was just a lot of yelling. That's the worst that could happen, was just a whole lot of yelling. And that's the worst thing, because I knew that it was still early enough in the process that she wasn't just gonna like fire me or something, she would just be disappointed. And that would feel bad, and I would feel guilty about that, but that would not be the end of the world. And a lot of times when we're worried about something, we psych ourselves out and we convince ourselves that it is the worst thing in the world. Even though if we took a second to just really take a step back and look at it, we'd realize it's not. We don't have to keep thinking, I'm unprepared, this is gonna be horrible. You just take a deep breath and say, you know what? The worst thing that can happen is that she gets mad, and there's nothing at this point that I can do about that, so I'm just gonna be positive and just go in there and give it my best. Or for Erin, she was really worried about leaving the kids behind. Our son's only a year old, and she didn't know how he would do without her. But I just said, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is that he cries a lot and he really misses you. And while that will be said at the time, it's really not the end of the world now, is it? So that is what I suggest that you do. Just task yourself, what is the very worst thing that can happen? And then visualize it, really picture it, and feel those emotions. Feel what it feels like to have your manager just yelling at you. Feel what it feels like to call home and find out that your son's been crying and he misses you. That way you're preparing yourself for the worst thing can happen, and you realize that it's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. In the bigger picture. Technique I've been finding really useful is to visualize something really good that's going to happen later in my day that I can look forward to when all of this won't matter anymore. For me, that best part of my day is the end of the day when I'm going to bed, I'm putting my kids to bed, and I'm laying down on my pillow next to my wife. That's the best part of my day. So when I'm getting stressed about something or worried, like, oh, this is horrible, I'm sick of this, or what's going to happen, I just close my eyes, or if people are around and I don't want them to think I'm crazy, keep my eyes open. And just visualize that thing that I'm looking forward to. So I just tell myself, tonight, none of this will matter. You'll be in bed with the people you love, and this will not be weighing down on you. Of course, in order for this to work, when you do that thing you're looking forward to, maybe it's just reading a book when you get home from work, or watching a TV, or having a nice drink, or hanging out with whoever, or doing whatever, you have to be present in that moment when you get there. You see, when you're doing something horrible and stressful, it's good to project and think, this is only temporary, it's gonna pass, better things will happen later. But then when you get to those better things, you have to stop worrying about the other stuff and be present in that awesome moment. For a moment like this. Shoeless Joe, I don't have anything to look forward to at the end of the day. I hate my home life. I am dirt poor. I live under a rock. I don't know, whatever it is. If you don't feel like there's anything really nice to look forward to at the end of the day, that is something you need to fix. It doesn't have to be expensive or hard. It might just be having a nice cup of tea. Or it might be just sitting for 5 minutes and praying and meditating and just breathing and relaxing and visualizing all that stress getting off you. Maybe you just need to take a nice shower at the end of the day and wash away all that crap from work or school. So I would say to you, work on that and find something and create something that you can look forward to at the end of the day. A shower, a walk, a something. And then also, I think everyone should be creating something way, way, way in the future that they can look forward to. So like if you're not happy with your life right now, like your job or your school, then picture later when you don't need to be enslaved to that anymore. Like right now for me, this is all the stuff that I am enslaved to. This is my student debt, this is my house debt, this is the fact that I have to work and I'm under a boss, and then this is my wife, but I want to be enslaved to her, you know what I'm saying? So when I see these shackles and I feel these shackles, I feel so held back, but I picture what it's going to be like when I'm able to sell my house and not have to worry about that debt anymore. When I'm able to work off all my student debt and I don't have to worry about paying that back. And when I am able, if I want to quit my job and not have to work for someone else. Those are all things that I'm looking forward to. Well, but maybe you think that you're going to be stuck in this job forever. Hopefully you don't feel like you'll be stuck in school forever, otherwise we got another problem. But if you feel like you're going to be trapped in a certain situation for like forever, then that's something that once you start visualizing what it will be like to get away from that, then you need to start figuring out what it would take to do that and start taking the steps to get out of there. But that, my friend, is something for another video. So remember, just visualize what is the absolute worst thing that can happen, let yourself feel that and embrace it, and then visualize what it will be like at the end of the day when you can go to your little hole and curl up and not worry about the stresses that you've been with all day. And this is not going to come super easy at first. We're not all really good at just letting go of stress and going home and saying, oh, today sucks, tomorrow might suck, but right now I'm here and it's cool. But if you really take the time to start training yourself to think that way, I promise you it is possible. You will be able to turn around and get yourself feeling positive and thinking positive. Thank you so much for watching, and don't be afraid to leave in the comment below any questions or comments you have about these visualization tools. And remember, keep it simple, question everything, and stay radical.
So what's the worst that could happen? You could try, you could fail. You gotta gamble, you gotta take chances. Oh, don't spend your whole life chasing that white whale.
Maybe it's reading a book, watching your favorite tea show, going tea show? What's a tea show? Okay, get a drink, get it together. What?